Okay, welcome back, everyone. All right, so here's a slightly different way to think about this lens that we use to look at life through. We're going to go back to our mindsets and our habits, okay? So this ancient religious text, the Talmud, quote is, "We do not see things as they are, but as we are." So going back to mindsets and habits, these affect what we see and how we see things. So we're going to go right into a similar table to the one we discussed last time, but it's different, but you'll see a lot of similar information because we're just going to do a little bit of a deeper dive into decisions that foster our hope or decisions we make that limit our hope. So looking at what we see here, decisions that limit hope. If we see things as unchangeable, if we find ourselves focusing on the negative, these are all things to think about. Are they happening in our lives? What habits of negativity might we have? Do we concentrate on our weakness? Do we do that self-talk that Dr. Hellman was talking about? That's, oh, I can't do this. I'll never be able to do this. I'm no good at this. Do we keep ourselves unchallenged because we want to avoid the challenge where we're afraid we're not up to it, we're not good enough, we might fail? Are we lacking a sense of meaning and mattering? So is that mattering again? If you feel you do not matter, if you know somebody who feels they do not matter, that is just beyond serious. That is crisis level. This person, you or this person, needs support, because not mattering is feeling no attachment to anything to keep you going. So what we want to do is we want to foster mattering, a sense of meaning, by looking at the right side of the screen and finding some purpose in our lives. But then I'm going to pop back over to the left again, and just that last one, remaining isolated. As we said earlier, cocooning ourselves off versus cherishing the relationships that we have in our life. And if you can't find or think of relationships that you can cherish in your life, and I'm really hopeful that all of you can think of at least some, but it's also an opportunity to look at, so what's not working in these relationships? What is not allowing you to cherish these? Are they not reciprocal? Is there not some give and take to these? You can give support, you can receive support, give love, receive love. Okay, because then it's time to make sure you can find some new relationships that will offer you that. We all have to have some of that in our lives, and really as much of it as we can go out there and find. So going back up the right side, of course, finding purpose again, being connected to something that gives you a reason to keep moving through your world, whatever that reason is for you. It could be your artwork that just keeps you motivated to keep out there producing artwork and showing your creativity, or it could be the work you do, or volunteer work, or being a mother to your children. Whatever it is, as long as you can find purpose and meaning in it, that is going to be helpful to your journey in fostering hope. Focusing on your strengths, right? We're just so good at looking at what we don't have, but there's so much that we have. Just the fact that we're in the trenches day to day as moms and dads is a lot. Pat, we said earlier, pat yourself on the back for that. But you have other strengths too. You are almost surely a good friend, a good family member to other people. You do good things in your world, and you have to take note of that and not let the negative overwhelm your view of yourself. You can work to cultivate these positive feelings about yourself. So it may take work, do the work. Noticing beauty, benefits, blessings, having gratitude, finding silver linings, that's really I listened to a podcast recently, and it was a gal, I don't remember too much about it. It was a gal recounting, though, a really horrible trip she had taken. Somehow she and four guys came together when they were younger to be on a trip. And I believe it was a camping trip where they were moving around, and everything from her point of view just went horribly. And she was miserable, and she wanted out of this trip. And to this day, as she recounts it, she can vividly remember and feel all the negative of that trip. But when asked to reflect on the place that it now holds in her life, and I think we're about 20 years out from it, she basically takes it as a story, a little bit what I alluded to earlier, or a lot bit like I alluded to earlier, which is it's now just a piece of her life and it serves a purpose. She can tell it with a lens of humor on it to some degree. She can talk to the friends who were on that trip with her, and they have this shared experience that they will always have together. It doesn't matter that a lot of it was really bad. It's still a shared, deep experience that she's got with other people. And so she just thinks of it as it's just part of the story of her life. And I think that's a really wonderful way to look at our adverse experiences in life, that there are silver linings with all of it. I have lost some special people to me in my life, and I'd rather have them here, of course, because we'd be continuing to have special times together, and I'd be continuing to be inspired by them, I'm quite sure. However, I know that I have put things in my life, including some ways of being, that they have inspired through the lives they lived in the time that we had together that I may not have otherwise. So that is the silver lining to what otherwise could just be this dark, dark thing, because it's got dark components until we try and shine some light on pieces of that. So, and then all the way to the top of our screen, again, just seeing the possibilities. These are on the right side, high hope decisions. The author of Learned Hopefulness calls these. They keep us in hopefulness. We are not limiting the way we are looking at our lives and events in our lives. So our lives are not a foregone conclusion. We're given the ability to make choices and decisions, and they can impact the course of our lives or the experiences in our lives. So that's, again, an empowering lens on, sometimes that's exhausting, right? And sometimes it leads to that overwhelm that we've talked about being here today to try and get a bit of an exhale from our overwhelm. But how lucky are we that life is not just on this roller coaster that we can't control or move off of. We have some power in how we let the events of our lives impact us and the course of our lives. So let's just look at controlling what we can control. Okay, let's do another activity. While you're doing this, I'm going to look for yet another one that I think is in a book in front of me that I just thought of that I think would be good. So you have a pen and paper handy, hopefully, or someplace to jot some notes. All right, I want you to create a list of yesterday, just things you did, things that happened, whatever comes to mind. It's just about sort of doing a brain dump of yesterday onto a piece of paper and just writing things. Keep writing things and thinking of things until I tell you to stop. And I'm going to do a little timer for myself on here and just try and keep moving through this, even though you're like, I can't think of anything else. You probably can. All right, that was a minute. I know sometimes these things feel amazingly long. Throw in the chat if you feel like, God, I didn't even get started, but otherwise I'll move us on. I'm getting a yes. Is that a yes, move on? If so, give me another yes. Okay, moving on. Thank you. All right, now, oops, I didn't get my slide up with you. You just did that, right? Now it prompts you for various things, but hopefully you thought of many of those things in your full minute. Now, I need you to put that list aside, like get it literally out of your sight. Turn it over, use the other half of the paper, fold it into whatever, just like I want that one gone from your physical sight. All right, now this we'll do maybe 2 minutes for, because this is not a stream of consciousness. I want you to write a list, at least 3 things, but again, I want you to just keep going as much as you can think about, of things that happened yesterday, but create your list from a lens of gratitude. Okay, that's all I'm going to tell you. Add as much to this list as you can in the time that you've got, but just think of this list about yesterday from a lens of gratitude. Okay, I'm going to have you stay in this for 20 more seconds at least. Okay, we good? Looks like we're good. All right. You're going to compare your 2 pages, but you don't have to do it this moment because we're going to pull you into breakout sessions. I want you to look at your 2 pages in the breakout and talk about what you notice about your 2 lists. Okay, start with that and then see where the conversation takes you. But try and stay oriented to what you are observing in your 2 lists right now. And then before we go to breakout, okay, one of the one other thing to think about in your breakout is, as you look at your 2 lists, are they really quite different in the mindset that you were in to create them? Can you find the lens of gratitude in both of your lists by chance, or really just in the one where you were prompted to use your lens of gratitude? So let's go to breakout and have you guys talk a little bit about that and just the experience of that and how your 2 lists feel to you. And we won't be in breakout terribly long, probably about 5 minutes. All welcome back. I need a moment to go find my slides and where I am. Here we go. Okay, so you guys did some comparing and noticing for yourselves, hearing with each other. That activity is called an attitude of gratitude, right? Makes sense. If we can bring a gratitude lens on things, it's going to create more than just gratitude in that moment for that thing. So what if we got like so good at habitually looking through a lens of gratitude and making that choice regularly that we no longer needed the prompt to look at things from that perspective? What if when somebody said, how was your day? Or what did you do today? And you just automatically answered it with a list of things you're grateful for that were part of your day? That would probably take most of us some practice. It would for me, for sure. But might be a really good habit to consider building to help maintain your mindset in a hopeful place. So that as things hit that give you a hit to hopefulness, you've got your mindset sitting in a place that can manage that better than if you're not in a place of some hopefulness. So at the very least, you can use this as a tool to move your mindset to a positive place when you are realizing you're struggling with that. But maybe it can even be a tool to just help you maintain keeping your mindset in a hopeful, positive place with a positive lens on your life in general. And I really do recognize that that is not always an easy thing, especially for this group with the amount of challenges that hit us day to day and the amount of unpredictability that come with those challenges. It's been very clear to me in my journey of 25 years that I really struggle with a lack of predictability. And so I try to control whatever I can because so much over time has been out of my control. And it took me a while to realize the little ways in which I were doing it. Like I wasn't becoming this crazy controlling person. In some ways, I was just letting go that there was so much that I could not control that also was really hitting me in the face. But what I could control were things like my house. In the moments that I got to be alone in my house, I frequently would just like restore it to order because that felt so good to me and I could do that. Now I was setting myself up for the fact that it would all go out of order again when other family beings walked back into it, but it just felt good to make it nice for me when I was in it alone. And so those little places that we can control. When I was in full out crisis, what I really noticed was I literally could not bring myself to anything other than cleaning my house. I just had to be in motion. I couldn't even just go take a walk because too much came into my thoughts. And I wasn't able to put those into that positive place. Yes, I know from the work we're doing today, but I could shape my feelings. I could adjust my perceptions. But when I was really in a tough place and didn't have that at the ready for myself, I needed to keep my mind somewhat busy with something that's though fairly mindless. Okay, I'm vacuuming this dirt up in my house. I'm seeing a result. What was dirty is now clean. Oh my God, hallelujah. I can get results in my life, results that I am intending to have. I don't care that they're little and that the vacuum's really doing all the work. I needed to see some sort of result through some sort of action that I could control and make happen in my life. So, and don't forget here that hope begets hope. So I bet you don't use that word beget a whole lot. And now here's your chance. So share with others that the more you practice hope, the more it stays alive in your life. And the more chance it has of becoming a habitual thing for you. So, okay, before we go on to this exercise, because we do have a little time, I lost an exercise by letting my book close that I really wanted to do. So instead of finding that, I want to just read you a few things. Okay, this, I don't see where I am in life, but I'm Okay. Thank you for muting. This book, this is Learned Hopefulness again. And I really encourage you all, you'll see this in Huba, and you can just Google Learned Hopefulness. There's just a lot of good snippets and a lot of good exercises and activities in here. And so much of what we're doing today is either based on the science of hope from Dr. Hellman or this book, because this is essentially like a workbook that goes with the talk that Dr. Hellman gave, even though these two people are completely unrelated. So let me just pick a few things to share with you before we go on to another activity. All right, here's something we can, we're going to do that in a moment. Here's just some results of research that these things I'm about to read to you result when you employ optimistic thinking in your life. And again, like Dr. Hellman was saying, this is research-based. What results from optimistic thinking is a longer, happier life, fewer symptoms of depression. Okay, sorry, I'm going to pause. Do you see slides? I'm getting a message there are no slides. That's actually a slide.
No slides, Ruth.
Okay, say that again.
There are no slides.
Oh, well, I don't know why my share fell off. Let me get a quick share going, guys. All right, I'm going to give you a slide that we're going to go to in a sec, but just stay with me here. That's an activity we're about to do. You're seeing that. Yeah, I can tell you're seeing that. Okay. Optimistic thinking leads to a longer, happier life, fewer symptoms of depression, lower levels of stress. We would all benefit from that. Better cardiac health, lower risk of Alzheimer's disease, more positive emotions, higher levels of well-being, greater productivity, more compassion, greater kindness, fewer negative thoughts, better sleep. Boy, if that's not a list I don't want, I want in my life, I can't imagine a better list for that. All right, now I want us to try something before we get to our final exercise. What we're about to do is 10 proven ways that.
Ruth, I just want to make it clear. I'm sorry. You want us to be seeing the slide that says visioning?
That's fine. You don't need to see any slide right now, really.
Okay.
We'll get to that in a minute. I'm just going to have us do a little exercise sitting in your place, because these 10 things embody cognition that can be used on a daily basis to change how you are thinking and feeling. They're super simple. Just practice them with me. Smile. Okay, smile. Believe it or not, it's truly that simple. When you use the muscles in your face to create a smile, you feel better. When you're alone at home, give yourself a smile. Just like help yourself to feel it by simply activating the muscles in your mouth. All right, flexing your muscles throughout your body. Make a fist, grip a pen. You can do that when you're literally at your office working. These kind of things help you cope with all kinds of pain, right? Emotional pain, physical pain. And they can help you from choosing a different habit that's not a healthy coping skill. Like a lot of times, a lot of us, I think, want to just go eat something to make us feel better, right? And so that's not always a healthy choice. And maybe we don't need to eat at all, even if it is healthy. This is something I'm always interested in. Use your non-dominant hand. So when dieters ate using their non-dominant hand, for me, that would be my left hand. It just made them more mindful of the whole process of eating. Okay, so if we're consciously breaking an old habit, like my right hand, and I just get the shovel action going, we make better decisions when we break that sort of automatic pathway. And we can do that by sitting at a different place in the table, as this says, using a different hand, all kinds of ways you can just take a new route to work or whatever it is. Sit straight up, cross your arms. Studies show you increase your persistence. This is interesting to me. When you change your posture and fold your arms. Okay, people who do this during difficult tasks showed in the research that they were able to keep at the task for twice as long as people who don't adopt that position. So if I sit up straight and cross my arms, and I do find myself doing this, like there's something in me that just knows, okay, that's going to help me focus right now, because I find myself doing that on meetings a lot. And there's some science behind it. Who knew? I did not know. All right, and finally, power walk or power pose. You've probably all heard about this. Superman and Superwoman poses, hands on hips, nice strong posture, flexing those muscles as you do it. Power walking, it literally increases your self-esteem. You're feeling better about yourself as you're engaging in these postures or taking on this activity. So a couple others, wash your hands. It's almost like it tricks your mind into thinking that you're doing, I mean, you are doing a cleansing ritual, but it more than just cleanses your hands. It literally is a reset for yourself. I just find that quite fascinating. And of course, exemplifying kindness, showing people a little bit of kindness throughout your day, that's a feel good for you as well as a huge feel good for them. So just so you get the book, Learn Hopelessness, you'll have that list for yourself. And just amazing the little things we can keep on hand in our life to really try and turn ourselves to a more positive space. And we are a group of people with the things that we are up against in life who can really benefit from some of those tools. Okay, so now we are back to the slides. Visioning. We're going to do a final activity. I want you to really stay with me because this activity, the very end of this activity is the most important part. All right. We're going to probably take, I don't know, I'm going to give you probably 10-ish minutes on this one because I need you to stay in the mindset to really put some detail around this. I want you to think 10 to 20 years ahead. And here, I think I have a prompt for that. Yep. Write about yourself in 10 to 20 years. What have you achieved in your life? What do you want at that time point? You pick the time point. What does it look like? Like, I want you to describe yourself and your life. But there's a couple of do's and don'ts here. All right, so if you say, I live in a house that nurtures me and makes me feel good, that's a do. Okay, I like that. And I'll tell you why. Because if you say, I renovated my Baker Street house, right now you say, that's where I'm standing in 10 years. I renovated my Baker Street house. I always wanted to renovate that Baker Street house. Well, what if in 5 years a fire comes along and burns that house to the ground? Yeah, you could start over. But maybe you're going to move at that point. Or let's take a better example. What if a dream job comes along for you and your husband, whatever it is, and you, your family, move to a new place? You can't move because you always plan to renovate the Baker Street house, or actually what you really want is just a house that, I mean, this is my vision, not necessarily yours, but in this example, I want a house that nurtures me, that makes me feel good to be in it. I don't so much need to know where that house is going to be right now. I just am going with a more broad goal of this is what's important to me about having a house in my life. Another example. I'm in a supportive, nurturing relationship. Okay, that's a good one to put into your vision. But let's not put in, Bill treats me better now. Okay, we're putting a lot on Bill to change, and we can't control Bill or Dan or Sam or whoever it is. So I just want you to be thinking about, you don't even want to get a negative lens going on your goals. You might think, well, I wouldn't, they're my goals, but you might, depending on the way you say it. One last example. Good, I have boundaries with my kids that allow me time to explore my own life. Okay, that's always something that I have a goal of achieving in my life. But I'm not going to say that Susie is finally independent and in a healthy relationship. I don't know if Susie's going to get there. If I build my whole happiness and my whole future vision of myself on the fact that Susie has to achieve that, or I'm not going to be standing in this good place for myself in 10 to 20 years, I'm potentially just defeating my goal. First of all, it's not really my goal. That's my goal for Susie. And only Susie can control whether that happens to her, right? So Susie is fictitious, by the way. I just want you to have those clues for how you're going to go off and spend some minutes visioning your life and what you want in it. And then we'll come back for a final piece of this. So, and I shouldn't say come back. We're not going away, but I'm going to let everybody just work by a few minutes, and I'll call you back in maybe 8 minutes. So it's going to take some time.
Hey, Ruth, I want to just time check here.
Oh.
And
Oh, yeah.
we're supposed to end the session at 12:45. I think we could go a little longer, but probably not 15 more minutes.
Okay, no, God, amazing how that one went longer.
That went really fast, didn't it?
Okay, sorry. Okay, 4 more minutes. I'm cutting your time in half to envision your future. You can go back to this later. 4 more minutes. And Michelle, thank you. I'll keep on that. Okay, 1 more minute. Ten seconds. All right, let's come back together. So I hope most of us are feeling ourselves with some really great things in our life. I assume we like what we see and who we are if we're envisioning our future. So later today or tomorrow or this weekend, but I really don't want you to put it out further than that, because this is a final step that is important to, again, it's like cementing the exercise. Create a picture, a physical picture of the hopes that you have for yourself based on what you've just written for yourself. And if you will do this and keep it with you, bedside table, bathroom, near your desk, wherever, it will remind you both subliminally and physically that this is who you want to be and this is what you want to have in your life. So live with intention towards this reality. And as Dr. Hellman tells us, that will make it happen. Now, as you do this, you can expand your vision as you do your picture for yourself. Maybe something will speak to you that just didn't come up in the last few minutes. If you need to adapt this to something that speaks more to you than creating a picture, like you can draw, you can use magazine cutouts, whatever. But if you have a different way of having some physical representation that reminds you of this, I really think it will help you move towards this vision. So let's just come full circle here as we wrap up. Our TED Talk on the science of hope tells us that if we are active in practicing hope, we have a much better chance of achieving positive outcomes. So we spend a few minutes envisioning our future. Give yourself something that keeps that vision alive for you as you complete this exercise. And in the words of LL Cool J, who I'm sure most of you follow very, very closely, dreams don't have deadlines. So this work that we've been doing today, it's for the short and the long term. This is life work. Keep it going. Find the right times for your various dreams and goals. Just stay actively pursuing your vision for your life, because you can make that happen. All right, next and final slide to leave you with, and then I'm going to tell you where we're going to next. So this is from Old Man and the Sea. Reread this book or read it for the first time if you haven't read it. This is a man who had to take on a lot of challenge, some unexpected challenge, and he stayed with it. So now the author says in the book, now is no time to think about what you don't have. Think of what you can do with what there is.